upcoming releases that I am looking forward to for October, November, and December. Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I'm going to talk about 5 books that are coming out in October, November, and December that I've added to my TBR that I'm keeping an eye out for, and I hope to read close to the release date. We'll see what happens there. There are other books coming out, but I have only picked 5 to talk about because these are the ones that I'm most excited about and really want to read. Okay, so I have 3 books for the month of October alone. And the very first book I'm going to talk about is probably the book that I am most excited to read. I think. I mean, I'm excited about all these, but yeah, okay. So on October the 1st, we have Over the Edge by Irene Hannon. This is book number 2 of the Undaunted Courage series. Book number 1 is Into the Fire, which released last October. This is romantic suspense, which is the reason I'm really excited about. And Irene Hannon is one of my favorite suspense authors. Okay, I don't know if these characters carry over from book 1, like we met them in the previous book. So I'm not going to read the description for it, but I will read the last line in the summary that kind of wraps an overview of what the book's about. And it says, unless they can figure out who is behind the campaign to undermine her credibility, a murderer could slip away, leaving more than one body in his or her wake. So there's the suspense part of it, and it's romantic suspense, so there's going to be a relationship. We're following a male and a female character. Yep, I want to read this one. Okay, so then book number 2 that I have to talk about is All We Thought We Knew by Michelle Shocklee. This is a dual timeline in the historical fiction. So both timelines are considered historical fiction. I have never read this author before, but when I saw the cover, I was like, I want to know what that book's about. So then I read the description, I'm like, ooh, this intrigues me. The first timeline is 1969. When Maddie Taylor's twin brother was killed in Vietnam, she lost her best friend and the only person who really understood her. Now, news that her mother is dying sends Maddie back home, despite blaming her father for Mark's death. Mama's last wish is that Maddie would read some old letters stored in a trunk from people Maddie doesn't even know. Mama insists they hold answers Maddie is looking for. Okay, then we go to 1942. Ava Delaney is picking up the pieces of her life following her husband's death at Pearl Harbor. Living with her mother-in-law on a secluded farm in Tennessee is far different than the life Ava imagined when she married only a few short months ago. Desperate to get out of the house, Ava seeks work at a nearby military base, where she soon discovers the American government is housing Germans who have been classified as enemy aliens. As Ava works to process legal documents for the military, she crosses paths with Gunther Schneider, a German who is helping care for wounded soldiers. Ava questions why a man as gentle and kind as Gunther should be forced to live in an internment camp, and as they become friends, her sense of the injustice grows, as do her feelings for him. Faced with the possibility of losing Gunther, Ava must choose whether loving someone deemed the enemy is a risk worth taking, even if it means being ostracized by all those around her. In the midst of pain and loss, 2 women must come face to face with their own assumptions about what they thought they knew about themselves and others. What they discover will lead to a far greater appreciation of their own legacies and the love of those dearest to them. So just reading that first part from the 1969 timeline about Maddie is going to be reading old letters, my interest was piqued. Then in the 1942 timeline, it's following the death at Pearl Harbor and still going on with World War II. That's a storyline. I like to read World War II stories. I always learn something from them. So that is why that one got added to my list. Okay, then on October the 9th is Running Into Forever by Jennifer Rodewald. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her last name. I have read this author before. I've only read a couple books and I've enjoyed them. And so I understand this to be a contemporary romance. And it just sounds really intriguing. And I read the description again because of the cover. It was like, oh, I want to know what that book's about. There's horses on the cover. Yep. Okay, so Wanted. Horsewoman, skilled at driving, must be willing to live on a remote island and marry her boss. Both are non-negotiable. Taylor Everest loves his home on Sanctuary Island and running his family's carriage business for the historic Shoreline Palace. But his standoffish personality has the local resort questioning the renewal of his contract. Not to mention the contract also has an old pesky clause Taylor has thus far ignored. He's supposed to be married by the age 30. He just turned 31. Not willing to let go of his family's legacy, Taylor puts out a bold advertisement. Sonora is good with horses and even better with people. Unfortunately, her sunshine personality wasn't enough for Donovan Arlington, the man she's dated for 2 years. When Donovan announces his engagement after a mere 2 weeks of dating another woman, Sonora loses her level thinking. She answers a bizarre ad, agreeing to move and to marry the stiff and grumpy man she's to work for. At least it's only temporary. And surely living so far away, not to mention being married, will help her put away the ache of Donovan's betrayal. After the tourist season, Taylor and Sonora will both have what they wanted, and with a clean annulment, they'll go their separate ways, unless God can change their hearts and minds. So it is like a kind of a mail order bride sort of thing, marriage convenience. It's around a carriage business with horses. Yep, that drew me right in. Okay, then going into November, I have one book, and that is Cornered. And this is a novella collection by Lynette Eason, Natalie Walters, and Lynn Blackburn. And this comes out on November the 19th. It is a romantic suspense. Now, novella collections aren't really my thing normally, but it's romantic suspense, and it's by two of my favorite authors. I've only read one other book. It was a novella, actually, by Natalie Walters, and I did enjoy it. And I do have a few more of her books on my shelf to read. So I'm kind of like, okay, let's give this one a try. So, what are these novellas about? In the Dark by Lynette Eason, accountant Steph Cross is cleaning out a co-worker's desk after an untimely death when she finds a cryptic notes that lead her to believe her friend's car accident was no accident at all. Detective Tate Cooper is determined to help her crack the case before someone else gets hurt. But can he protect the woman who has so quickly laid claim to his heart? In Downfall by Lynn Blackburn, Chef Cassie Quinn gets an offer she can't refuse to fill in as a chef at an executive mountain resort. But when the kitchen is destroyed and it becomes clear Cassie is in danger, she's forced to accept the help of the ex-boyfriend, Detective Donovan Bledsoe, to find the culprit and keep her safe. In Perilous Obsession by Natalie Walters, teacher Lahia Young becomes the target of someone who with a twisted obsession of righting a wrong. The first person she turns to is her good friend Briggs Turner. Briggs may have left his career as a police officer, but he still has the instinct to protect, especially for Lahia. On December the 17th is Cloaked in Beauty by Karen Witemeyer. This is historical fiction, and it is book 3 of her Texas Ever After series. However, this is a series that does not connect. Characters don't carry over. Settings aren't the same, other than they're set all in the state of Texas. But the connection between the books in this series is they are all fictional takes on a fairy tale retelling, or inspired by a fairy tale retelling, or combination of two fairy tale retellings, as per this one. Okay, so I am going to read the description on this one, and it says, in the heart of the piney woods of Texas, Letty Hood has spent the last 15 years of her life hidden away with her grandmother to escape the deadly schemes of an uncle who wants her dead. Now, with her 21st birthday on the horizon, she is forced to accept the escort of a stranger and return to Houston in secret so she can claim a birthright that will make her one of the wealthiest women in Texas, if she lives long enough to inherit. Pinkerton agent Philip Carmichael has to get the Radcliffe Harris home alive. Expecting a spoiled girl, Philip is surprised to encounter a woman of rare strength with a kind soul and keen wit. As they journey together, Letty's resilience wins his admiration, breaking through his hardened cynicism. Yet the threat to Letty grows more menacing with every mile, and Philip fears that keeping her out of harm's way may just be as impossible as keeping her out of his heart. Little Red Riding Hood and Sleeping Beauty entwine for a romantic fairy tale retelling that explores the power of true love conquering even the darkest of nights. That one just sounds really good to me, but I've also really enjoyed Karen Witmeyer's stories, so that's why that's on the list. So those are the 5 books that I've added to my TBR that are coming out before the end of the year that I really want to read. I most likely have not hit on the books that you are most excited about, or missed some of the books that you are most excited about. So I'd love it if you would tell me in the comments below kind of what book is coming out in the last quarter of the year that you are really looking forward to. Let's have bookish conversation. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.